Hi all, welcome back. Today we're going to look at how to track form submissions without a thank you URL, so forms like this, through Google Tag Manager. Updated for GA4, and stick around to the end because I'm going to show you how to get the most out of your pixel by sending data that you may want to track additionally, and how to optimize your pixel for different stages of growth. So let's jump in. Now the first thing you want to do is you want to go to your form and submit the form, and you want to find the message here. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to right click on it and click inspect to bring up the panel like this, and you want to go to the particular element here, and you want to right click and you want to go copy JS path. Now what this will do is it will copy the section of code to get to the particular element like so, and you want to double check you're in the right one by clicking dot inner text. Now the inner text. Now the reason you want to do this is some of these forms have an error message here, such as incorrect field or invalid data or not a right email. So you want to make sure that you're always getting the inner text so we can verify that the form actually has the words thank you and or whatever type of message you've put. So I might say we've received your message, or your message has been sent, something like that. In our case it says thank you, so we're going to make sure that it has the word thank you for it. Now the two things you want is you want to say this is in a text, and once you've got it you want to go dot includes, then you want to put two brackets, two quotes, and you'll see that it comes up with true. Now you want to make sure that it says thank. Now say if we put a spelling mistake, it's going to say false, or if it doesn't say for example, if it doesn't say error, it's going to say false. So what you want to do is you want to say it includes the thing that you're looking to track, the text you want to track. Now that we've got that, we want to go over to our variables, and we want to create a custom variable so that when we fire our tag, we can verify that this message is correct. So we'll go over here and we'll choose custom JavaScript, and we want to create a function, and we're going to call this function message, and you want to go var is this, which is var text is this, then you want to return the text. Now for those who don't know JavaScript, this is real simple, saying the variable, which variable is a store of data, is text, and text equals this document query selector, which is this particular element, the inner text of it, and that includes the word thank. So it will go to the particular element, which is here, it'll look at the inner text, it will read the inner text and make sure it includes the word thank, and if it does, it will return, in our case, a Boolean value, which is either true or false, and because our text contains thanks, it will be true, which we can see here, true. So we're going to make this the text variable, and we're going to go save. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to go over to the trigger section, and we want to create an element visibility. So we want to go new trigger, configuration, element visibility, and that's checking that an element on the page is visible, which in our case we want this one. Now if yours has an ID, so say it says div ID equals XYZ, you can choose that. Otherwise, if it has a CSS selector, you want to click the three dots and go copy selector, and you get something that looks like this. Now the next thing you want to do is you want to go here and you want to say CSS selector is this, or whatever you copied. Now you can say when to fire, once per page, once per element, every time an element appears on screen, depending on what exactly you're tracking. I'm going to say once per page because I don't want to track it when it pops up. and I'm going to say that we want to observe the DOM. Now that is basically saying that it reads the page for changes and doesn't include a page load. So for example, our forms. Because this doesn't generate a new URL or a new page screen, it just loads the data in the background, hence the observing the changes. Now we don't want to fire it on all visibility events, because looking back, we don't want it to fire on things that say error message. So this is where we say some visibility events, and we say our text variable, which is what we created in the first step, and we say it equals true. So we're saying we only want to fire this event when the element is visible and the text variable is true, which again is this. I'm going to call this, we'll go thank you message trigger. So what we've got now is we've got a variable that reads the message, we've got a trigger that sets it up, and we want to fire an event. Now in this particular one, you can connect it up to either Google Analytics or to your Google Ads or your meta tag or whatever. So if you're looking at your Google Analytics, you would choose an event tag. Now I'm assuming you've already got the base tag set up. If not, you'd want to choose the event tag, put in your tag ID, and set up the base pixel. Once that's done, as mentioned, we want to go Analytics, Event, put in your code, and you want to say form submit. Now you can add additional parameters here if you want to track certain things. So for example, you might want to add a, like a value associated to the form. In our case, we'll leave it blank, so we'll get into that in a second. And then we'll connect it up to our trigger. And same situation, if you wanted to fire a same tag through, say, your Google Ads, it'd be the same situation. You fill out the necessary data and you connect your trigger to the thank you, to connect the tag to the thank you trigger. Now, let's discard that. Another thing you want to do is you want to preview it to make sure that it's actually firing. Now at this point, I will say that you should have the base pixel set up. If not, it's not going to work properly. So we would go through and we make a form at this point. Nothing has fired. And we'll go through and we'll say putting in all the necessary data. And here we can see that our event visibility trigger fired, and it fired our tag. Now, as I said in the initial part of the video, we're going to look at how to supercharge our pixel. Now, what does that look like? Now, the particular data that you collect and how your pixel is set up depends on the type of obviously industry you're in. Now, for this one, we're looking at my marketing agency, and for us, an important value in the pixel is the annual turnover of the form submitted. So what we would recommend is having a particular field that maps the value so that you can push that back into, say, Google Analytics or Google Ads, more specific Google Ads or Meta Ads, and optimize for values that have a higher value, and therefore you're optimizing towards higher clients. So what would that look like? Now, the first thing we'd want to do is we would want to get the value of the actual field. So what that looks like, again, is you inspect the element. This goes just here. You would copy the selector, and we would want you'd copy the path, not the selector. And we'd want the value. Now, because it is a number value, and we would want to send that to Google Analytics or Google Ads, which takes a value as a number string, we would want to wrap this whole thing in a number function. So what it look like is as number, and you get a number like that. So it would return the value of this as an actual number. So bringing that up again, we would then want to copy all of that, get out of here, go back to variables, and say, in our case, annual turnover value, which again is a custom JavaScript. So we'd say function value number is this. And we can now use this value here in our tags. So as an example, is we might want to say we want to send the annual turnover back to Google Ads. So in this case, it would be something like this. Or we might want to send this back to Google Analytics, which in our case would look like this. So now in our form submit, we can see the annual turnover of the company and optimize towards those particular events and really refine our data collection. Now for Google Ads, this is extremely critical when you're looking at optimizing to high value leads. So an example of optimizing the pixel beyond this is you might want to say, well, I don't want to send a Google Ads conversion unless it has at least, say, 100 grand. So you would say in the trigger side of things, you might duplicate the trigger. So we'll go over the trigger and we'll say new trigger. So I'll just copy the values so we don't have to do it all again. And we might call this high value trigger, and we'll say event visibility is this, observed DOM obviously, and some visibility, and we'd want to go variable text equals true to make sure that the form submit is correct, and then we'll say annual turnover, and we'll say is greater than 100,000. So in this case, we're saying, well, we only want to send events of companies who make less than 100 grand or more than a million or less than 10 million, depending on the size of the vertical you're dealing with or the forms that you work with. Now, as I mentioned earlier, this will supercharge a pixel because it will start to tell Google and Meta ads and any other advertising platforms, then the leads that you want are those who are meeting these conditions, which are those who have the higher revenue. So as always, if you're getting stuck or you're getting lost in this tutorial, reach out in the comments and we'll meet up and have a bit of a chat about where you're stuck.